You are listening to The Michael Lodge Show. Wealth, business, and taxes. Oh, yeah, and some politics. Let's get started.
Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, good lunchtime, wherever you may be. This is Michael Lodge. Glad that you've joined me once again. Today's a beautiful day. I tell you, if you could look out the window where I'm sitting and look out and see the sun shining that's coming up, the trees are gently breezing. We've got a nice solid air that's coming in off the Atlantic Ocean. About 70, 71 degrees at the moment this morning. In fact, all night it's been about 70 degrees. I love those kind of days where you wake up and you feel vitalized. You know, you're ready to go. You're ready to fight. You're ready to go and do great things. Listen, all of you guys out there, if you haven't been down to South Florida, come on down and visit us. Visit Palm Beach. Visit Miami, visit the Keys, go down to the very south portion of the Keys and be about, I think it's about 60 miles across the ocean to Cuba. Beautiful little town. Listen, we can't fly anywhere, we can't do any of this stuff anymore that we used to be able to hop on a plane and go out and really enjoy life, right? And travel and explore, but now we have a whole big country here. America's a big, huge, open country that has a whole bunch of different places to visit. Get in your car, go on a road trip, go up Route 66 and explore America. I have driven across America 8 times, and every single time that I've driven across, I have found something new. I've seen something new. I've heard something new. I tell you what I really enjoy. As you're driving across America, and you're listening to the local stations, you hear exactly what they are talking about, what they are feeling, what they're concerned about. Because I listen to talk radio as I'm going across, and you hear the local talk radio stations, and they're talking about, I tell you, down here, college football is big time stuff. And you don't mess with that. If you don't know your college football, you're no one. You go up into South Carolina and North Carolina and Florida here where we have got the Gators. If you don't know your college football down here, you are nobody. Or you're going to be in trouble. I remember, this is so funny, I never followed, when I lived in California, I never ever followed college football. I didn't care about it. In California, you know, maybe once a year you hear the name of a college football team, it seems like. But everything else is Lakers and Chargers and 49ers and San Francisco. Everything. Everything is about pro football, baseball, soccer, you know, those kinds of things. Nothing about college football in California. You very seldom ever hear it. Well, here, it is worshipped. College football is worshipped. And you'd better know that. This is a funny thing. When I lived in California, is that I was doing some business in the Philippines. And as I would be standing there, I'd be eating and meeting with people. Young people would come up and ask me about various teams of universities over here. I didn't know what was going on. Finally, they were bombarding me with all these questions, and finally I kind of got fed up, and I said, listen, I can't answer your question. I don't follow college football. Here in South Florida, and when I lived in South Carolina, you followed football. It was a big thing. On Sundays, you could literally hear in the houses down the street people yelling. And they were yelling for their team because Sunday was a big football game. When you would go into Walmart or some of the stores, everybody would be wearing the jerseys. Everybody, I'm talking about everybody, would be wearing the jerseys. I got into it. I bought 2 coffee mugs for Clemson. Now, I love Clemson. Clemson has, listen, when I was taking tax courses, Clemson had probably one of the best tax courses ever that I took. I still get invitations from them, but I don't travel up there anymore since I'm no longer there. But Clemson, everybody had a Clemson shirt on. I have 2 Clemson coffee mugs. I love those coffee mugs. They're up on my shelf. I never use them. But college was a big deal. College football. So here in South Florida, it's the Gators. And you know, the Gators are really important to this state. I like that community spirit, right? I like where they're supporting their community college or their community high school baseball game or basketball game or even football game. I mean, they're following it all the time. You can look in the paper and you can see what all the schools are doing. It is. I like it. I like that sense of community. Part of that community is small business, and I have loved small business all my life. I mean, I have been supporting small business and consulting to small business since 1984. So I know what goes through their lives as a small business person. I'm a small business person myself. But it's important to look at how important small business is to America. If you look at America as a whole, okay, there are over 30.2 million small businesses out there. That's a lot. And each one is hiring people and making sure that there's jobs being created. 30.2 million people in the United States, there are small businesses like that. It's amazing to understand how important small businesses are to a community. And once they start going under or being forced out of business by a government entity, we're in trouble. Because now we're losing jobs, we're losing the sense of community, we're losing the ability to support the neighborhood and the community and the church and the baseball league and the little soccer league and everything else that small businesses support. They can no longer do it if they are being shut down. And that's the problem with Biden. He does not understand small business. He doesn't understand business at all. He doesn't understand what it takes to create a company and to create jobs. And the decision-making process that we go through, do we buy this or do we hire another person? Or do we just pause because we don't know what the government's going to do next? Let me tell you, small businesses employ 58.9 million people, which makes up 47.5% of the country's total employee workforce. That's a big number because it affects communities. 58.9 million people, that's a lot of people. That's a lot of jobs. A lot of those are gone now. 60% of that is gone. Because government stepped in and shut down businesses. Government destroyed businesses in our communities. I don't ever forget that. It wasn't at the president's office that happened. Even though it's happening now because he has become very anti-business and very anti-jobs. Now, there are certain states where small businesses mean something even greater. If you look at small business and how much they employ in let's take 2 specific states. Montana, we're going to look at Montana and Wyoming. Montana employs 67.6% within small business. Wyoming is 62.3% of the overall state employment workforce. Those 2 states should be focusing on those small businesses so much because they are the lifeblood of those 2 states. They need to focus on it. They need to work at it. Now, there are some states that don't have a big impact in small business. Nevada and Florida, for example. In Nevada, they employ only 40.8%. Florida only employs 43.3% of the state's total workforce in small business. Those are still big numbers. And if you have 43%, let's say, in Florida, and 60% of them are now gone, that means that 60% of the job market went with it. That's why small business means so very much to me. I mean, it's amazing to me that we become so political that we forget about the lifeblood of states and communities. We forget about them because politics outweighs everything at the moment. That's why I call it dirty, rotten politics, because it does nothing for the people of the United States anymore. Politicians are there not for you and me anymore. They are there to support their party and the power that they can get. The more power that they have over us, the better that they think it is, but it becomes worse because they destroy small business. And that is what has happened in this COVID and in this COVID environment that we've been in. They use bad scientific data to shut down businesses and to create harm within that community. Small businesses mean a lot to America, and if we do not support them, if government does not see what they're doing to small business, then they should not be in power. They need to be out. I am so frustrated with this because I talk about this so much, and I'm not getting the results out of Washington that I need. And the reason why is because they are so caught up in the political impeachment and in the political hate that they have forgotten about the American person, the small business person, the one that's creating jobs in this great nation. We got to do better. We have got to do better. Over the next few months, we're going to be hearing a lot about raising of taxes, raising of the minimum wage. And they're talking about all of these issues. In fact, they just, within the first day or 2 days of Biden's administration, he cut out 11,000 jobs. Really, that's more than that. That's just 11,000 that's working directly on the pipeline. We're not talking about all the truckers, all the steel manufacturers, all the fab work that's being done out there. We're not talking about those individuals. We're just talking about those people who are working on building that pipeline. So if you think about all the other professions out there that are supporting this pipeline, it's far greater than that 11,000. It's in the millions. But the government doesn't care. So you've got these small communities from up by the Canadian border all the way down to the south border into Texas, Arkansas. These communities that were on the line of where the pipeline was going are going to be hurting. The hotel where the workers slept, the restaurants that fed them, the washing machine places that service their laundry, all of these people who used to support this pipeline and the workers are gone. Now, they've been promised green new jobs, but there's none there. There's none there. Don't believe this nonsense. They cannot produce any jobs to support these people who just lost their job. There's not one single job that the president can produce that can help these people. Because they're not there. Green new jobs are not there. That's why we need both. We need the oil industry and we need the working on new technology for America. We understand that. But right now we need both. We can't just live on a hope that Green New Jobs is going to create new employment. Because the majority of the time we're talking about Green New Jobs, it's machines that are doing that, not people. It's automated machine, artificial intelligence that are building those things, not people. If you look at the windmills that are in California, you see most of them not even working. They're not even turning. They're not producing electricity because most of them are broken down all the time. Oil has the benefit for right now to supply jobs, to supply lower cost of gasoline and oil to the American people. Now is not the time to be shutting down an economic force. This is economic suicide for the president to do this. I'm surprised that the unions are not out there protesting in front of the White House, but they don't because they've donated so much damn money to the president. So you and I in small business, I'm telling you, and I've said this before, we're on our own. We have got to help each other. We have got to work with each other. We have got to be smarter than government. We have got to be smarter than technology. We have got to be just plain damn smart. That's the only way that we're going to make it through because government does not care. From the federal level all the way down to the state level. So when you hear a president in Congress talking about raising taxes, that is going to affect you. Now, I talked yesterday about this stimulus program and who would qualify for it, right? So I said that number is going to go down lower, okay? So at the very beginning, they said anybody $200,000 and above would not qualify for the stimulus program. Yesterday, the president said it's $70,000. That's a big drop, okay? So if you're $70,000 and up, you are not going to qualify for that stimulus program. That's what he is saying. By the end, when this thing gets ever passed, and hopefully it's not going to be $6.9 trillion because that's a total waste of money. You've still got $1 trillion sitting over there in PPP that's not being used. So I don't know what they're thinking. Yeah, I know that the president wants to throw money at it because the last time he was involved with it, they didn't do enough. That's how stupid. So now they're doing overkill. So we really have a problem here in America. We have gone totally out of control based on politics. Everything that Biden has done thus far hasn't been for the American people, but it has been political, and it has been payback for all those who supported him. Now, the unions should be up in arms because he's taking away jobs from them. In fact, the union president of the people who are working on the pipeline came out and said, wrong idea, wrong move, Mr. President. But you see, the problem is that the president in the Democratic Party at the moment is so filled with political hate, and they want to destroy everything that has been accomplished over the last 4 years, that they don't care. They don't care how it's going to affect the American people. They don't care. And especially they don't care about the small business. We are a strong force. Listen, we supply, and before we were killed off by government, we supplied the largest workforce in America. We provided the goods and the services. We provided the promotion of community aspects. We created jobs within our community. A lot of this has been lost now because of the actions of government in wanting to be political and take control over the American people. And that's where we have stood. That's where we stand now, I mean. We still have the same problem. We have an out-of-control government that has no economic plan for the United States. So that means, and let's be just pure, honest, and candid, is that we in small business have got to survive. And there are going to be some things that we do that probably the government won't look kindly on. But why do we do it? Because we have to survive. We may have to cut some things out of our lives just so that we can survive. But as you think about that, not one single politician in Washington, D.C. or in the state governments lost a paycheck during this COVID event. Not one. They all got their paychecks. They all got their medical. They were all very well taken care of. Their pensions are building up during COVID. The government is the one who made out on this. The American people were shot to hell. Listen, that $1,400 that's going to be given out to people, what is it going to do? Barely anything. It's a 3-week Band-Aid before the next issue. It might last into 3 months, but I'm saying 3 weeks. The majority of the last stimulus people put away in the bank. They saved it. They didn't spend it on anything. It did not stimulate the country. What stimulated the country was that some of the small businesses were allowed to go back into business and created jobs. So when we think about this and we ponder this, and we have to think about it every single day, especially you and I who are small business people who are trying to survive, trying to get that next job or that next contract or selling that next product, we have to work twice and 3 times as hard just to survive. But here's the good news about this. You and I are strong people. You and I are smart people. We know what we have to do to survive. We know what we have to do to create jobs. We may not be buying any more equipment. That's probably done with for a while as we push the pause button, as I've said before. So right now, our focus for the next 4 years is on surviving as a small business. COVID hit us, and now we've got political fights that we need to battle. I love small business. Don't you love? I don't know about you. When I had my offices in Los Angeles, I had about 14 employees. So I was a small business. I could hardly wait every single morning to get up and get into the office. In fact, I got up. I was always the first one there because I loved being at my office. I loved that knowing when we opened up those doors at 9 a.m. that it was going to be busy for the remainder of the day. And in fact, sometimes even to way late into the evening. But as a small business person, I could hardly wait to get into my chair and start answering my emails and start talking to my staff, start talking to clients, start planning on what my marketing strategy was going to be. I mean, it was always something to focus on, and I love that fact that when I took my key and I unlocked the door to my office, my life began for the morning, and I was busy as hell for the remainder of the day. And time went by very fast. But we were doing stuff. We were trying to be creative. We were trying to create a great, successful firm. Now I'm by myself. Now I'm here in Florida, and I'm by myself. But every single morning, because my office is here in my house, I get out of bed, and I immediately go around the corner and into my office. My dogs are there. They're ready to go. And I begin at 6:30 in the morning every single day. And I look forward to it. In fact, sometimes at nighttime I'm thinking, oh, what do I need to do the next day? And then finally I have to say, okay, Mike, you got to shut off your brain because you need to go to sleep. There's literally so much that needs to be done that I'm focused on it all the time. I love being in a small business. It's creative. You get that momentum throughout the day. I think the hardest thing that hit me was COVID. When they shut us down, I literally did not have any phone calls coming into my office for 4 straight months. No new business coming in. Nothing. Zero. Everybody was under lockdown, stuck at home. Now it's better because the state is open, the restaurants are open, schools are going back to, school. Kids are going back to school. So we have the movement is beginning to flow more freely, more better. No, there's no such thing as that. It's moving better. But I remember walking into my office, looking around and saying, gosh, I built this. And I was so proud of it. But California became a destructive state. Tax-wise and business-wise, it became very anti-business. EDD was attacking us every single day. The franchise tax board is more aggressive than the IRS. And I said to myself, I don't want to live in this type of hassle. So I began looking around. I looked at South Carolina. I looked at Florida. I looked at a whole bunch of different places. And finally I made the decision, okay, I know that Florida's business friendly. So I'm going to go to Florida. And I am going to do my business in Florida. Because I know that they want me there. And you would be surprised. The business community welcomed me in, and I was so very happy. California, they didn't even care. When you went to the Chamber of Commerce meeting in Los Angeles, it was never about business. It was always about politics. What was going on politically? They were I remember when I was there, the Chamber of Commerce was trying to design something to help the homeless in local downtown, but nothing ever came of it. A lot of times in California, it's all talk, but when they have to go up against the government, they lose interest because the government there is too powerful. And the government in California no longer cares about the citizens. It's all about the power that they have over the citizens. And they've forgotten that constitutionally, the Constitution was put there to protect the citizens from the government, not the government from the citizens. I love small business. I want each and every single one of you to survive. I hear so many mediation cases with small business. And I know that every time that I sit down with them, I'm going to hear a new story. And I know that there's going to be a new issue. But let me tell you, every issue there's an answer to. Every problem there's an answer to. There is a solution to resolve issues. Don't think that the courts are always going to help you or protect you. You get more done in mediation than you do in court. You can spend months waiting for your trial to come up after you've spent thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars on retainer fees and legal fees and phone calls and faxes and everything else that you have to pay for. But if you were to look at the alternative of mediation and arbitration, but mediation especially, you can solve so many of your business problems. It's faster, it's cheaper, and you're able to tell your story, and you can get something accomplished. So don't think that the legal system out there is the only source. Sometimes it's the source you have to go to, that we all understand. But the majority of the time you can sit down and mediate the issue. You can mediate internal employee problems. You can mediate issues with vendors and people you have contracts with. You can mediate the issues that you have between partners. You can do so much. And the mediator will guide you through to come to a resolve, to get you to an agreement of some kind where it's fair to both people. And you have to realize that when you go to mediation, you have to give a little, you have to get a little. It's a give and take. But it's all up to you depending on how much you want to settle that issue and go on with life and go on with business. Small businesses, listen, are the lifeblood of this nation. And each and every single one of us, I don't know where you're at or who you are, support your small business because they truly, truly need you. Now, I know that a lot of you are listening to me out in various countries. I look at you every single day of what the countries are listening to me. So those of you in the Russia republics, and those of you in Dubai, and those of you in India, my second largest audience is India. So all of you in India who are listening to me, thank you very much, but please support your small business. Those of you in England, please support your small business. Those of you listening to me in Sweden, support your small business. Wherever you're listening to me from, whatever country you're listening to me at, let me tell you, you have the same problems as what we do here in the United States. That each and every single small business in all these countries out there have a very thin, razor thin profit margin. And anything happens in government or within the community, it affects that bottom line. And sometimes they don't make it. So if you have a bakery that you love going to, please buy more buns, buy more bread. Do what you need to do. If you have a special coffee shop that you like to go to and mingle with all the people, go there more. Help them out. Support your small business all around this world because they are supporting you. Whatever you need, they're there for you. And they will go over backwards, bend over backwards trying to help you out. Those are the kind of people that you want to do business with. Those are the kind of people you want to do business with. Listen, if you have any questions or comments, send me a text at 818-252-5682. Again, that's 818-252-5682. And if you have a long conversation with me, if you want to have a long conversation with me, send me an email at info at lodge-co.com, and we'll sit down and we'll have a chat. If you want to know what I do in my day job, go to my website, which is www.lodge-co.com. If you want to support me and help me out on my podcast and the content that I produce on a daily morning basis, which I love doing, support me by going to www.buymeacoffee.com/Michael Lodge, Lodge. Listen, today's going to be a great day. I want every single one of you. I want you to go out and do something great for somebody today. For those of you who are ending your day in the rest of the world, sleep well and sleep soundly and do good tomorrow. This is Mike Lodge. I'll talk with you soon. Bye-bye. This podcast is produced by Michael Lodge, fully focused on content.
This is brought to you by Lodge & Co., a business and tax advisory firm where your success is our goal. Call us today toll-free at 888-681-1518 or visit us at www.lodge-co.com and learn more about what we can do for you. Lodge & Co., your source for sound business and tax services.